So somebody sent me an email about the following question. It's a simple email, and I think it's a very important topic, but it's not going to be radical. We spoke about emails that are radical. This is a simple email, which I just want to use as a way of sort of getting into the sugya of what I want to discuss today. He sent an email like this, and he said that he has a fellow that he deals with. This is a guy who does kiruv, and this person smokes approximately 10 cigarettes on Shabbos Kodesh. Now, he asked me, and again, I want to be clear, I am not paskening in any way, shape, or form for any individual or for any klal in general. This was a specific question by a specific person about a specific situation, right? Obviously, there were more details in the email which I'm not sharing, which are not negeya, but I just want to bring that as a springboard to what we're going to discuss. And he wanted to know like this: is there any point in asking the guy to refrain from 1 or 2 cigarettes on Shabbos? He's going to smoke, there is no shaila, but he's going to smoke less.
Like
okay? That's very good. So Chaim says it's like the hamburgers. What was that? A guy that eats, let's say, 10 cheeseburgers every single day, and he wants to do tshuva. So he'll do only 8 or 5. Is that considered to be tshuva? So Rabbi say, I want to give you an idea. Let me give you an idea. The pasuk says in Parshas Vayera like this. The pasuk says, "Vayoshev Avram al Norav, vayakumu vayelchu yachto be'eshava." Chov Beis Yud Tes. That when Avram Avinu walked back from the Akedas Yitzchak, he was walking together with Yitzchak, his son. Now we know, Moti, that he had just done the greatest act of Mesiras Nefesh ever in Klal Yisrael. That act of Mesiras Nefesh was an act that we are living off the results ad hayom hazeh. Right? Every Yom Kippur, we use the Akedas Yitzchak as a way of saying Rebbeinu Shalom. Remember, Akedas Yitzchak. Every Rosh Hashanah, we blow dafka, zuk the Gemara in Rosh Hashanah, Shofar Shel Ayel, to remind the Rebbeinu Shalom of the act of Mesiras Nefesh that Avraham Avinu did of the Akedas Yitzchak. So we have credit for the Akedas Yitzchak ad hayom hazeh. It's amazing, right? At the end of Akedas Yitzchak, Yudala, when Avraham Avinu is walking back with Yitzchak, the pasuk says, "Vayoshev Avraham al Norav, v'yakumu v'yelchu yachtov el be'eshava." What does yachtov mean? So the Sfarim HaKadoshim, it means they walk together. They were walking equal on the same madrega. And what means like this, Shimshon Pinkus, when he brings this down, says a beautiful idea. And he says that when Avraham Avinu returned from the Akedah, he was very upset. Why was he upset? Because he wanted so badly to fulfill the Rebbeinu Shalom's commandment. The Rebbeinu Shalom told him, Kachas bincha, take your son, take your only son, take the son that you love, and offer him up on the Mizbeach. And Avraham Avinu was desperate to fulfill the Rebbeinu Shalom's instructions, so much so, the Pasuk tells us, Vayashkem Avraham ba'boker, he got up early in the morning to Mekayim the mitzvah b'zrizas as early as possible. He could have waited until later on in the day and chilled with the son a bit, schmoozed with the son a bit, spent time with the son, but no. If the Rebbeinu Shalom told him to do something, he desperately wanted to Mekayim what the Rebbeinu Shalom wanted. And now the Rebbeinu Shalom had told him, stop. End. You're not offering up your son, you're not killing him, it's all over, you'll take the animal instead, you'll shech the animal as a korban, and he walked back with his son, and we know that he found his Sarah, his wife, to be nifta at the time, because she had the news, whatever. Zuk of Shimshon Pinkus, Avraham Avinu was upset. He was upset because he wanted to Mekayim the mitzvahs of Hashem, and he wasn't able to do so. He felt like a failure. He felt like he failed. And the Rebbeinu Shalom says, Omar Kodesh Baruch Hu, that's what you think. You think you failed? It was the greatest success. Why? Because you showed that you wanted to. You showed the machshava that you tried. Avraham Avinu showed everything he could to show the Rebbeinu Shalom that he wanted to do it. True, the Rebbeinu Shalom told him stop. And that became the new tzivoy. The new commandment was don't do it. But his trying was a success. And it's Yesod Rabbi said that I think at this time we have to understand. How many times do we try to do things and we're not successful? And we don't get to where we want to necessarily get to, and therefore we think we failed. And therefore we translate the fact that we didn't accomplish the goal, whatever that goal was, into a failure. And that's a problem, on 2 ways. And I'm going to say 2 mahalchim that I think are very important for everybody to realize. First of all, tshuva, like I said last night, we do not translate as repentance, which is what it's normally translated as. We translate tshuva as lashon of shov, which is to return. Returning to the Rebbeinu Shalom means the closer we get, that's the success, we got closer. Even if we didn't reach Hashem, but we tried. Now, that's a very big yesod. There are two things that I want to mention. Number one, very, very important idea is that when we try to do something, even if we fail, the Rebbeinu Shalom sees our trying. You know, he sees the fact that we put in our best effort, that we tried, even if sometimes we don't succeed. But he sees that trying. For example, a guy says he makes a decision, I want to get up for Shachris. I'm going to do it. Tomorrow morning I'm setting an alarm, I'm going to get up for Shachris. I need to be there. And for whatever reason, his alarm didn't go off, or it did go off and he was exhausted, he didn't hear it, whatever it was. He wakes up in the morning, wakes up half an hour late, an hour late, whatever it may be. And he really beats himself up because of it. I failed. And he gets upset, he has a bad day, he's depressed. Now, first of all, that's a terrible thing to do. You're turning a bad moment into a bad day, and then often a bad day into the next day. A person should never allow himself to do that. Yes, you tried, and HaKadosh Baruch Hu sees that your kavanas were that you wanted to do something. And he gives you sometimes the schar as if you did it as well, if you be'emes tried. The Mishnah in Pirkei Avos with Ben Yoni discusses it as well. Kol shemaiseh yosem mechachmasai, whatever. Rabbi Ben Yonah says that if you want to do something so badly, the Moshe gives you schar for it. We have to realize we don't always succeed, but the trying is worth something. What do we say? Yogato matzasa. We tried and then we found. What's the lashon of matzasa? Matzasa is you find something. Says the Vilna Gaon, finding something doesn't take effort, because that comes from the Rebbeinu Shalom. Oh, but the trying is the main thing. That means that every single one of us have an obligation to try. Try to do tshuva, try to become a better person, try to get closer to the Rebbeinu Shalom, try to have kavanah in davening, try to do the mitzvahs with a bit more simcha. Tachas shaloya baratos Hashem alekecha b'simcha. This week's parasha that we just had, Parasha Kisova, the Rambam, all the klolas come on a person because he wasn't serving the Rebbeinu Shalom with simcha. We have to try. We have to try. And the Rebbeinu Shalom sees every effort that we make. And often when we don't succeed, we beat ourselves up because we failed. We didn't succeed. We didn't get to that goal. So what? Keep trying, keep pushing. That's what we're here to do. That's what we're on the world to do. Just to try, not to necessarily accomplish. We say that by the siyum. When a person makes a siyum, the lashon of the siyum is Onu amelim v'heim amelim. We're omel, and they are omel. Who are they? Stam, the goyim, right? What does that mean? So the Heilige Chofetz Chaim. You're listening to this? This is beautiful. When we are omel, we get schar. When they're omel moti, they don't get schar. What does that mean? That means if you give a fabric, clothing, you give a cloth to a suit maker, and you say, could you do me a favor? Could you make me a suit, please? You come back 2 weeks later at the time that he told you to come back, there's no suit ready. He said, I'm really sorry, I couldn't manage it. Can I have my money? Are you going to pay him? No way. You didn't make my suit. If you didn't produce results, I'm not going to give you the money. So the Chofetz Chaim, when it comes to us, when it comes to Torah and Yiddishkeit, even if we're omel and we don't actually get results, we still get schar. Because it's the trying, it's the amelis, it's the effort that we put in that's the ikar. That's number one that I want to mention. Okay, yes, sometimes we fail, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't pick ourselves up and try again, and keep trying again and again and again. Number two, and I think this is perhaps a very important idea, and that is what I mentioned to you this morning, to celebrate the small successes in life. And that's something that often we overlook. We look towards the big successes. We look towards the things that we feel are, we've made it, we succeeded. The small things often are like, all right, Beseda. You tell a boy, wow, you woke up for shachar. He's like, yes, yeah, very nice. But on my side, I didn't daven that much. 1 second, you woke up? That's beautiful. Okay, then maybe the next stage is you'll daven. Maybe the next stage you'll daven with kavanah as well. But that you got up, it's beautiful. We often don't celebrate the small successes. I mentioned to some of the olim this morning, regarding some averas, I'm not going to go into details now, but there are certain averas that a person has a yetzer hara for. And sometimes, and I've dealt with many, many boys over the years with different averas, and we go through this idea, and I really believe that it works. And that is like this. If a person has a taiva for a specific avera, let's make it simple. Let's make it lemaisa. A person, for example, has a taiva to look at something on his phone or on a computer that he shouldn't be looking at. He has a taiva to press the buttons, and that site will come up. He'll be able to do the avera. And he has a taiva to do it. It's a very strong taiva. It's one of the strongest taivas and drives that the Rebbeinu Shalom created us with, and he created that with it for a purpose of continuing the world and everything else. But it's a taiva that's very, very difficult to control, and guys get very depressed and down when they don't manage to succeed with that taiva. Now, I get it. It's an avera, and we have to talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about it more at a different time. But this is always the idea that I say, and it's based on this thing. And that is, celebrate the small successes. Make yourself small, tiny successes. In other words, give yourself, you know what? I'm going to wait 10 minutes. I'm going to do it, but in 10 minutes. I'm going to do it in 10 minutes. And make yourself a 10-minute time that you're going to push yourself off. So a guy says, but I did it in 10 minutes. What's the difference? I did the Avera, but you waited 10 minutes. The Chofetz Chaim says by Lashon Hara that if you stop yourself, even for a few moments, from speaking Lashon Hara, when you've got that juicy gossip that you want to say, because you know the latest hack that's just happened, nobody else knows, and you can give a knack of us, like, really, how'd you know that? Wow, unbelievable Lashon Hara, amazing, right? The light that you get is the light that no malach can even comprehend, just for waiting a few moments. Can you imagine you want to do an Avera, and you stop yourself for 10 minutes, even if you do that Avera afterwards, that accomplishment of waiting 10 minutes is something that we don't understand. The reward of waiting for that 10 minutes is something incomprehensible. We don't understand it. It's so great. Now, it's more than that, because if you manage, number one, it shows that you have some self-control, which is very important to have self-control in all areas, especially these areas. And number two, success breeds success. If you celebrate the small wins, the small successes in life, you will be able to make them more and expand upon them and make them more often and even for longer. That means maybe tomorrow it will be 12 minutes, maybe 15, maybe eventually you'll get to 20 minutes, half an hour, maybe even a day. But you can only start when you start working on the small. And by the way, it's the same thing now. Everyone knows this time of year we're meant to be taking Kabbalahs upon ourselves. It's the only way to show the Rebbeinu Shalom that next year we're going to be better than this year. What are we meant to take on? That's it. I'm davening with Kavanah. I'm benching. Negavasa tzitz. I'm going to be the greatest kid in the world. Doesn't work. Waste of time. Don't do it. As we all know, you take the smallest thing, cut it in half, and do that, because that's the only way it's going to be sustainable. And that shows the Rebbeinu Shalom that we want to be better and we want to improve. And it's the small successes. Next time you're confronted with the Yetzer Hara, with the Taiva, whatever it may be, give yourself 5 minutes. 5 minutes. I can cope waiting 5 minutes. Okay, tell yourself, maybe I'll do that very after 5 minutes, but at least 5 minutes. I'm going to wait 5 minutes. And celebrate that success. Celebrate the success that you managed for 5 minutes to prolong doing the Avera. And that is an amazing success, because that will eventually lead to 6 minutes, 8 minutes, 10, 20, 30, and who knows, eventually a few days. But it has to start slow. And that's why I think the idea is, people have this idea that tshuva means I have to be perfect. That's not true. It's not what the Rebbeinu Shalom wants from you. It's not what he expects from you. He knows how he created you. He knows your Yetzer Hara. He knows your drives, your taivas, and everything you have inside you. He created it. He knows it. And he also knows the effort that you could put in to try. So number one, Rabbi say, effort. Right? Avraham Avinu was upset because he wanted to mekayim the mitzvah that Hashem told him, and he felt like a failure. And the Rebbeinu Shalom said, no, this was the success. Sometimes the trying is enough, even if we do fail. We have to celebrate it. We have to celebrate any win that we possibly have. Anything we can possibly take with us is an amazing accomplishment. Okay? And that's something that we should remember, and that's why I told this fellow, and again, I'm not paskening, and it depends on every situation. If you can get a guy to smoke 2 less cigarettes, that is beautiful. That's the step in the right direction. He's on the right train. His train is going in the right direction. Right? You'd much rather be in a train that's going in the right direction, even if it's very far from the destination, than being in a train that's very close to your destination, but going in the wrong direction. Person has to be very, very careful to make sure he's at least going in the right direction. And it's small, and it takes time, and it's slow, and we don't always see the results, and we always get, impatient. Come on, Rebbe, I'm not seeing any results over here. Doesn't make a difference. Celebrate that every little step that you take is special and is so precious to the Rebbeinu Shalom. You have no idea. You have no idea. Every time you try and you stop yourself from looking at something you shouldn't, from saying something you shouldn't, from hearing something you shouldn't, you try just those few minutes. The Rebbeinu Shalom wants to give you, he does, but we don't necessarily feel it sometimes, the greatest hug you can ever get. because he loves you and he says, look at my dear child, he's trying. That's all that counts. That's all he cares about. Rabbi say, take this, make the effort. Even if you fail, you still tried. And make sure you celebrate the small successes in life as well.